So we shall start, and I'm glad to welcome you to our first autumn webinar. So my name is Maria, and
my name is Thomas.
And today we are going to tell you about the use of present continuous tense, and we're going to talk about all possible meanings in which it can be used. We have already started talking about present continuous tense, and I'm going to demonstrate a slide in which you will see beautiful pictures of autumn, and we'll describe them using present continuous tense. I hope you can see it well and hear us as well. So we'll look at the pictures and we're going to discuss what the girls in the pictures are doing. So Thomas, what do you think they are doing?
One of the girls is lying in the leaves and just relaxing and enjoying a nice autumn day. The other girl is feeling free, picking up a pile of leaves and just throw them into the air.
Yeah, so and probably she is picking some fallen leaves and she's feeling happy. So, and I should say about myself that I really enjoy autumn time and enjoy picking autumn leaves too. What about you?
Same here. Autumn is my favorite season, and today explains why it's my favorite season.
Okay, great. So we are moving to the next slide, and we use present continuous, first of all, to tell what is happening now at the moment of speaking. The pictures illustrated it, but we also want to say that in the slide, it shows that the action is in the process of happening, and it's happening at the moment of speaking, which means right now he is walking as we speak about him.
Correct.
So how else can we call present continuous?
Okay, one way that you can call it is present progressive, which means that you are showing progression. Progression means you are moving at the same time, at this time, right now. And so therefore, it's still a form of continuation, still continuing. But it's just another way that linguists will describe continuation by using the word progressive.
So in other words, we can say that present progressive is the same as present continuous. So if you come across a term present progressive, don't be afraid. It's still the same tense as present continuous, and you should be sure that you know it perfectly well. So we use it to express the idea that something is happening now at this exact moment. And as Thomas has said, it's called present progressive because the action is in progress. Now we'll talk about the form of present continuous, and probably you have already noticed that the formation consists of two parts, because we have used a few sentences already and you've seen some examples. Once again, he is walking, and is the form of the verb to be, followed by the verb walk with ing ending. And I will just remind you that there are three forms of the verb to be, which is am, is, and are. And here are some more examples. I am drawing a picture. He is sleeping in the room, and they are, or we are, or you are watching a film. And I hope you guys are listening to us. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
So how do you make negative sentences? It's pretty simple. We just add a negative particle not in between the right form, the necessary form of the verb to be, and the verb with ing ending. For example, I can say about myself now, I'm not cooking and I'm not sleeping, but I'm talking about present continuous. And you, Thomas?
I'm not walking and I'm not sleeping. I'm sitting here watching how we describe the present continuous.
Right, yeah. And I would like to bring you an example that hopefully will illustrate present continuous well. I want you guys to meet my daughter, Sophie. So I love going for a walk with her, and also we like going to shopping centers and trying something tasty there. But since I'm talking about present continuous now, she's eating ice cream, not with me today, but with her daddy. And she is having an ice cream. She's sitting in a stroller. She's enjoying the strawberry-flavored ice cream. All of these sentences are about the moment that is happening right now. And that is why we use here present continuous. I'll also show you some negative sentences. She isn't playing with toys or running around with kids. So here we have a negation. She is not or she isn't.
Most of the time when people speak, they will make the short contraction isn't. They will not say is not. You see is not mostly in writing, but when people speak, it's very unusual to hear them say it is not. Most people will say it isn't, she isn't, we aren't, I'm not, and so forth. So it's just remember that when people speak, it's a little bit different than when they write. So the main thing is that you just remember to use the contractions when you're speaking, and you have no problem.
Okay. So, but we need to learn now how to make questions in present continuous tense. So what we do is very simple. We simply move the right form of the verb to be in the first place, or we can say before the subject, before I, you, he, she, it, you, we, they. But it's about yes or no questions. Are you reading? Are you writing? But if we deal with WH questions, we put the question word before it. So, for example, who is reading? Who is writing? Etc. Now, we'll talk, Thomas has already mentioned about the use of full and contracted forms, and now we'll talk about it in more detail. So what is more typical of formal language and writing, and what is more typical of informal language or spoken language? So full forms or contracted forms. And Thomas has already said that for formal language and writing, we mainly use...
We use the long form, if you want to call it that. You use I am rather than I'm. He, she is instead of she's, and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Right. So if you are writing a business letter, be sure to use full forms. Unless you write an informal letter to a friend. What about informal writing? You use contractions?
In informal writing, you can use contractions. You can do that with your friends. You can do it on Skype, and so forth. But basically, when you, like you said, when you're writing a business letter, You want to be as formal as you can be.
Right. Yeah. So remember that in business letters we use full forms. I am writing to you, or I am not
I am not able to come to the interview tomorrow. Can we make another arrangement?
Right. So in speaking, we use contracted forms, as Thomas has said. Can you bring some examples, or maybe you could read the sentences below so that we could listen to a native speaker pronouncing these sentences fluently. So, and for you guys, I ask you to pay attention to the sentence stress and which words in the sentence we pronounce fully and which of them we shorten as much as we can.
Okay, the first sentence we say, I am singing a song, or you can say, I'm singing a song. The second sentence, he is reading a newspaper, or you can say, he's reading a newspaper. The third sentence, she is brushing her hair, or she's brushing her hair. And then the fourth sentence, you can use either they, you, or we. All three of them will use are. You can say, we are having a wonderful time. Or you can say, we're having a wonderful time. Or you're having a wonderful time. Or they're having a wonderful time.
Yeah, and thank you, Thomas. And I hope you paid attention to pronunciation of contracted forms, because instead of saying he is, we say his. Instead of saying she is, we say she's. Instead of we are, we say we're, right?
Correct.
Okay, so please pay attention to that and use these kind of contractions when speaking. Okay, now we have talked about the form and pronunciation, but it's a must to talk about some exceptions. In the English language, there are verbs that are not used in continuous. Basically, it means that even though the action can be in process, just because this is the verb that is not used in continuous, we can't put it in continuous form. And here are a few groups of verbs that follow this exception rule. So the first group is verbs of mental activity. So what are they? Can you bring us some
words
examples?
like to forget. When you forget, you can't say I am forgetting, okay? Or you might say that might work, but forget is usually not used. Words like imagine, or to know, or to mean, or to notice, or to recognize, or to remember, or to understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so these were the verbs of mental activity, so that are in charge of what is happening inside of our head. Yeah. So, and second group are the verbs of sense perception.
And these are to feel, to see, to hear, to taste, to smell.
So our five senses: vision, smell, taste, touch, and hear, right? These verbs are not used in continuous. So we say I see. If I'm talking about my physical ability, I can taste it, meaning that I can feel the flavor, the taste of something. So now another group is verbs of possession.
For example, to have, to own. These are two good examples right there. There aren't a lot of verbs of possession that are involved in this process, but those are two of your main ones. I own. You can't say I am owning. I own it, but I am not owning it. Okay. Mm-hmm. And like I have, but you cannot say I am having. Or you could say I'm having a good time. That's possible, but that's an exception.
Yeah. So basically, when we use the verb have in the meaning of own, for example, I can say, I have a telephone, I have a bag, I have a daughter. So in this case, we can't use it in present continuous. Only present simple is used. But Thomas brought a good example. I'm having a wonderful time. In this case, we use it in continuous because have is used as a part of collocation, have time. Yeah? Or I'm having a bath. I'm having a shower right now. I'm having coffee. It would be nice.
Good idea.
Yeah, sounds good. So in this case, the meaning of have is not to own. The meaning of have is to have coffee means drink coffee. To have breakfast means to eat breakfast. And that is why in these cases, it's allowed to use have in continuous. So another group is verbs expressing likes and dislikes and other emotions. What are they, those emotions?
Okay, it's verbs like to envy, to fear, to dislike, to like, to hate, to hope, to love, to mind, to prefer, to regret, to want, to wish.
Mm-hmm. Well, quite a few of them to remember, but also such verbs as like, love, like mainly these two. Are there any tendencies in the modern language that people start using those two verbs in continuous?
Yes, you used it earlier. You said, you said, I love being, like you say, I love being a mother. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they actually become almost like a continuous. You could say, I love being a mother, or I love being a doctor, or something of this type. Or I like having breakfast outside on the patio in the morning. Mm-hmm. So these are ways of saying, using like, love, and so forth, and still making it continuous. Mm-hmm. But most of the time, you're not going to say, I am liking, or I am hating, or you say, I hate, or I like. Mm-hmm. But when you say like doing something, then you can use it as continuous.
Mm-hmm. So basically, if you want to show that your preferences are happening right now, then you simply add another verb with ing ending to the word like or love. I like drawing, I like dancing, and so on. And one more group of verbs that we'll mention is opinion verbs. So what are they?
All right, to assume, to believe, to consider, to doubt, to feel, which means to think. Okay, to feel you're thinking, to find or to consider, to suppose, to think.
Mm-hmm. Can you bring an example?
Okay, you can say, I assume that you are late to work because you got out of bed late today. Uh-huh. Or you can say, I believe that you sent me the wrong email. I think you better check your system.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I doubt you're right.
I doubt you're right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So we'll move on. And it was just the beginning about present continuous, because there are 4 more meanings in which we can use present continuous. It means that there are 4 more situations in which present continuous can be used. So another meaning in which it can be used is to talk about an action that is happening not only at the moment of speaking, but around now. It means that it takes a bigger period of time. It covers a longer period of time than the first way to use it. So present continuous is used to talk about an action happening around now, but not necessarily at the moment of speaking. And it lasts for a certain period of time. The action is temporary, which means it's not always like that. It is just this period when this type of action is true. For example, I'm working as a sales manager now. It means that my educational background is different, or I have done other jobs before, but right now I'm employed, or I work as a sales manager. I'm working as a sales manager now. My friend is learning German now, meaning that she has taken up a certain course and she is doing it at this moment. Or an example, I'm a French teacher, or about myself I can say I'm an English teacher, but I'm working as a translator for a business company now. It's not going to last for a long time. It is happening for a short period of time, maybe 1-2 months. Maybe some more examples?
Okay, and also you could also talk about being a trend. For example, you could say, more and more people are becoming vegetarians. So, but that's a trend. It's happening now, but it's not specific. It's a trend. It's something that's going on. Or you can say, you might ask somebody, are you still working for the same company? And because you don't know if they changed their job. So are you still working for the same company? You want to, because you know that this person probably changes jobs every 5 months. Who knows? But so this is also continuous.
Okay. So one more meaning in which we can use present continuous is to talk about our future arrangements, about our near future. For example, you all know what a diary is. If not, you can see a picture. That is a notepad where we write our plans. So we use present continuous to talk about future plans and arrangements. In this case, we have to mention when the action is going to take place. We mention exactly when the appointment is going to happen, or when we are going to do this or that activity. For example, tomorrow is the weekend. So I can ask you, what are you doing on Saturday?
And I could say, if I was back home in Virginia, I could say, I'm going to the beach tomorrow.
Okay, yes. But here in Belarus, what are you going to do on Saturday?
Right. Tomorrow I'm going to help people move furniture.
Well, sounds exciting. Okay, or you could say, I'm going to the countryside to visit my relatives. So both in the question and in the answer, you use present continuous to talk about future arrangements that are planned. If you use present continuous for the future, it means that you have a precise plan that you are going to follow. So it means that you have made some arrangements, you have prepared everything to bring this arrangement into life. So, and that is why we can say that this action is already in progress.
For example, you can also say, I am going to Spain in the spring. And maybe, 4, 5, 6 months away, but it's still present continuous because you're making the plans now to do it in the spring.
Yeah.
I'm going to Spain in the spring.
Yeah. So, for example, you have already bought tickets or you've booked a room at the hotel. So, and that is why, even if it's 5 or 6 months away, you still use present continuous. Well, another meaning that might be new to you is the use of present continuous for emotionally colored speech. Usually, we use present continuous if something happens regularly, but we don't really like it. It happens too often and to the extent that it has become annoying to the speaker.
A teacher has a student that comes into class late every day. You are always late, always come to class late. What's your excuse?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or for example, to add greater emphasis, we can use markers such as always, constantly, forever, yeah, every time, and a few others. For example, I can say, well, it's always raining when I go outside and forget my umbrella.
That's a good one. That's true.
It's so annoying. Every time I go outside and forget, and exactly at the moment when I forget to take the umbrella with me, it starts raining. So in this case, to show that I'm annoyed with this situation, I'm annoyed with this fact, we can use present continuous. And a few more examples. He is always telling the same jokes. It seems everyone knows them by heart. Everybody is tired of his jokes. Yes, because they're always the same. That is why we use present continuous to show this feeling of irritation.
You can say, for example, you're always telling the same joke. Can you please stop?
Yeah, or not again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
You're
good.
telling the same joke. Yeah. So, and the last way to use present continuous that we're going to mention today is used to talk about things that are changing. So something was the old way and now it's becoming, or it's on the way of becoming a new way. Thomas has mentioned it already when we talked about actions around now. This meaning is very close to around now and is used to talk about tendencies. The reason why it's put separately sometimes is that it's mainly used to talk about changes, not about your personal life, but about people in general, countries, the society, climate, some more general things.
Like, for example, you would say the weather forecast said it was going to be sunny today, but it's raining right now. And that is because the old way was it's to be sunny. Now the new way, it's raining. Okay.
Yeah. Or there are a couple of more examples when we think about the weather or the climate in Belarus.
Mm-hmm.
Summers in Belarus are getting colder. Is it right? Mm-hmm. Do you guys agree with me? Yeah, I think so.
I do.
And winters are getting longer and longer, unfortunately, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not about me personally, it's a general tendency in the country. And that is why we use present continuous to talk about it. Or we can say the population in the world is rapidly rising. Also, it doesn't happen like immediately. We need a period of time to see the changes, and it's about the society in general. Maybe one more example?
Okay, let's say, for example, you play in a band. Right, let's say that George usually plays the drum, but tonight he's playing the guitar.
Mm-hmm. So that is, that's about a temporary action, yes, or the situation at this moment. So these were a few ways to use present continuous. I hope it was useful to revise them. Well, and I also hope that present continuous looked in some ways new to you, because quite often people think that present continuous is only about something that is happening right now, but we tried to show you that it can be used in some other ways, and they're also very common. And maybe, Thomas, you can tell us how common this tense is.
Probably you can say that present continuous is used more than present simple. You're saying I am, or I, and even when you're talking to the future, you're still using I am. But you don't usually say I play.
Mm-hmm.
I am playing, or I will be, we'll use that's another tense, but I am playing. As you come hear more often than say I play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that is why we decided to devote our first webinar to present continuous, because it's very common in spoken language, and we wish you to practice it, to find a way to do it. And we hope to see you some other time. I hope you enjoyed the webinar, and I will also mention that we run online English courses where we train to speak, not only to listen. It's another format where you have a chance to work in pairs with other students, work in groups, ask questions. Here in Zoom, we have a function of putting you in a pair with another student, and you will have a chance to talk and practice the knowledge that you got. So as for webinars, I hope that we are going to run them regularly, once a month. That is why you'll be always welcome to join us.